NBC 10 News starts now.
We are still on the scene in East Lansdowne tonight. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Jacqueline London.
And I'm Fred Shropshire. The officers who were shot were sent to the hospital where they are recovering.
In the initial calls to police, officers responded to a call of a child shot, an 11-year-old. We do have some of that exchange. Let's listen.
Number 58 Lewis, 58 Lewis. The subject with a gun. It's an open line. Call taker can hear shots being fired in the background. We do have medics being dispatched now for a shooting victim, 11-year-old female.
NBC 10's Aaron Baskerville is part of our team coverage. We have reporters at the hospital where those two officers were injured, but we begin with Aaron Baskerville, who is on the scene there. Aaron, still an active scene out there tonight.
Yeah, but we've been here for about 2 hours or so. This all went down sometime between 3:45, 4 o'clock, and we can tell that things are winding down a little bit at least. We've seen a lot of officers leave the scene. Behind me, about a couple blocks down, that's the center of all of this activity. We are standing on Lewis Avenue right now. There's a house that is still kind of smoldering in the back just with white smoke, but a while ago, about 2 hours ago, that house erupted with flames, just huge flames lighting up the sky out here after this situation started. What we know so far, I know you briefed a little bit about it, but officers came here with a report of an 11-year-old child shot inside the house. When officers arrived here, that's when they immediately took on gunfire from someone inside that house. That's when officers started ducking for cover, hitting the ground. There were crossing guards and other people out here when those shots were fired as well. They, of course, were scared for their life. We do not know the condition of that gunman. We don't know if the gunman's still inside, and we haven't heard anything about that 11-year-old child as well, the reason why those officers came here in the first place. I talked to a council member from East Lansdowne. I also talked to a crossing guard who was out here at the time when all those shots were fired. Here's what they told us.
I was there, a cop came flying around the corner. He got out, and then he's in front of the house talking to two people. And then all of a sudden, I heard 6 or 7 gunshots. Cop got down on the ground, I ran and took off.
What I've learned, I've heard of an active shooter in a residence, which had me to respond in the neighborhood. I'm, on council here in East Lansdowne. And as I got here, I was talking to some of the officers, hearing them and seeing the response, realizing this was still a very serious situation. 2 of our officers were transported, one East Lansdowne, one from Lansdowne. I'm hearing they're stable, thank God. Other than that, we still have an active situation. We have a fire actively happening. The home seems to be almost burning down because they can't do fire suppression because of the active shooter.
So you heard right there, 2 officers shot. You heard him say one from Lansdowne, one from East Lansdowne. And we know a big question for the last couple of hours is why is that house still on fire? Why are the flames just erupting like that? You heard right there. I mean, you have a shooter inside the house. You cannot do fire suppression. You can't have firefighters attack that fire when they're themselves are in danger. So there's going to be several more press conferences. I'm hearing one at the hospital, apparently also maybe one at an elementary school at some point tonight as well. But this scene is winding down until we get some more details. We're on Lewis Avenue. That house is still smoldering. We'll be here for a little while longer. For now, we're live in East Lansdowne. Aaron Baskerville, NBC 10 News.
Aaron, you just cannot imagine the fear of those residents, of witnesses who heard all of those gunshots, not 1 or 2, but a series of gunshots spread apart, and then some of them saying they heard an explosion as well, and an active shooter on scene. Aaron Baskerville, thank you for that. We do want to go to a news conference right now. We've been told that Jack Solsheimer would be addressing.
Looks like it's about to start here in just a moment. He's right there in front of the lectern. All right, let's listen.
Sorry about that.
All right.
You got us back there? Take us.
Of course, is at the hospital where those 2 officers were taken. Those 2 officers taken to Penn Presbyterian Hospital. The fortunate news is that we are told that they are stable.
Good evening. My name is Jack Solsheimer. I'm the District Attorney of Delaware County. I'm joined here today by the police chiefs from Lansdowne, East Lansdowne, the superintendent of the Upper Darby Police Department, and the mayors of Lansdowne and East Lansdowne to talk about the tragic but heroic situation that took place this afternoon. At about 3:47 this afternoon, a call went out from our 911 center that an 11-year-old girl had been shot on a property at 58 Lewis Street in East Lansdowne Borough. Police officers from Upper Darby, Lansdowne, and East Lansdowne immediately responded to that call. And braving the danger, they ran up towards danger so that the rest of us can run away from it. They were immediately met by gunfire. And 2 officers have been struck, one from Lansdowne, one from East Lansdowne. They are both doing okay. I just visited with their family, as we all did. They are being taken care of in great care here at the hospital. We expect them to be perfectly fine, but they have been through a trauma. And it was because of the Upper Darby Police Department, who also responded to that call, that these officers are alive today. They were dragged out of danger by Upper Darby police officers. Everybody in law enforcement in Delaware County works together. And we just had a tremendous showing of all of our mutual aid. All of our departments were on scene, some are still on scene, and East Lansdowne dealing with the aftermath of this. As you know, the house was then set on fire. We don't know who the occupants are. We don't know who the shooter was at this point. We don't know how many people are in there or even if they're even still alive. Our compatriots and our colleagues are on scene dealing with that right now. But we are happy to tell people in Delaware County right now that keep praying for these officers and their family, but they're doing well. They're going to be okay. Thank God for that. And I just can't thank these officers and this team enough for the heroism displayed every single day by our police officers throughout the county, but particularly today. I can't thank Upper Darby police officers enough for what they did to drag these 2 gentlemen away from the gunfire, or we might be having a whole different conversation tonight about what happened.
Any validity to the initial?
We have no idea. Let me just say right now, we are still actively investigating the scene. We don't know who was in the house. We don't know who the shooter was. We don't know how many people are in there. We don't know their status. We don't know if they're alive. Police officers right now are making sure that that scene is secure. The gunfire has stopped. I just left that scene. Some of us chiefs did as well. The house was still on fire, so we weren't able to make entry yet into the house because we're taking it safely for all of the officers on scene. But we will get to the bottom of it, and we will continue that investigation to know whether or not an 11-year-old girl was or was not shot, but more importantly, who shot these police officers, and we intend to hold everyone accountable.
Jack, can you explain to the people who are watching this on TV and wondering why you weren't putting out the fire, just explain to the neighbors and everything why you weren't putting out that fire?
Sure, because officers were taking gunfire. The police officers and the fire department who were out there were still shots coming out at the beginning of this fire scene. So we want to make sure, and some of our police chiefs are out there right now. Some of our police chiefs in Delaware County are also fire chiefs. Okay, so they're out there actively controlling that scene. But there is nobody else in danger. We've made sure that the entire block has been emptied of people, and that fire is now mostly under control. But again, we're not going to go make entry into that house until we know that the fire is under control and that it's safe for those officers to go in there. We don't want another single officer hurt tonight in Delaware County.
Jack, can you understand how the Upper Darby officers, they get on scene, and can you explain more about how they were dragging them in? Like, how did that all play out?
I'm going to answer that question. In fact, I'm going to let Superintendent Bernhardt answer that question. But Annie, I can't tell you the exact details of their injuries right now. Their families are with them. I want to protect their privacy at this point. I don't want to tell you the officers' names or their injuries. They are not life-threatening injuries. Both officers are going to be fine, God willing, but they are doing okay, and they're here getting great treatment.
But they weren't both shot.
They were both shot.
Okay. And
with
one each?
One each.
Okay.
Yep, one wound each.
And both males?
Yes, male police officers.
Can you tell us how long they've been with the departments for?
Chief?
Mine's 22 years.
Veteran police officers. 22 years, the officer from East Lansdowne. 22 from Lansdowne.
And how many officers are in your department? You have a small department, right?
We don't want to take a lot. They're not going to take a lot of questions. They're going to go back inside and talk to the family. But I do want to have Superintendent Bernhardt, because I think this is a very important. I think people need to know how heroic our police officers are, not just responding to a call, but taking care of each other. Ken, would you mind?
Absolutely, John. Yes. So like the district attorney said today, that call went out for shots fired in the borough of East Lansdowne. The borough of East Lansdowne borders Upper Darby Township, and we work well with them and work with them daily. When that call went out, our officers automatically responded to that scene on the uniblock of Lewis Avenue. Our patrol uniformed patrol responded and saw 2 officers, and they advised our officers that they had been shot. Our officers, numerous officers responded, got ballistic shields, and were able to go onto that street, drag those officers out. One of those officers was transported here by one of our marked police cars. The other uniformed officers from Upper Darby were able to drag the other officer to a waiting ambulance and was driven here as well.
Tim, were your officers taking fire too when they were dragging those officers?
All officers that were on scene initially were taking on fire, and then when they removed themselves from it, there was no more gunfire at that point.
We're now going to go back inside. These guys have to go deal with the situation that is still unfolding in East Lansdowne. I appreciate you all being here. We want you to know that these officers are doing well. We ask for the continued prayers for them and their family. They have to recover from this trauma. But thank you for taking the time tonight. We're going to go back inside and continue dealing with the ongoing problem. Thank you.